How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, February 24th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the 2022 calendar year, with the football season being over, we are towards the end of the college basketball regular season as every team is in their last few games. Not to mention that the NBA is now in the last push towards the playoffs now that the NBA All-Star Weekend has come to a close as the NBA starts back up today. Not to mention that in soccer, we are seeing a lot of European soccer underway as the first leg of round of 16 Champions League matchups have all concluded. So with that said, starting off with college basketball from yesterday. Looking at the third-ranked basketball team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers hosted the unranked Ole Miss Rebels. Auburn ended up beating Ole Miss 77-64. They won this matchup by 13 after outscoring Ole Miss by 12 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the third-ranked Auburn Tigers would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Jabari Smith, and then their starting guard, Zep Jasper. Smith finished with 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in 28 minutes. He shot 4 for 12 from the field, and he shot a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Jasper finished with 15 points in 27 minutes. He shot 5 for 7 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the third-ranked Auburn Tigers are 25-3. They are now 13-2 in the SEC. That is the best record in the conference so far. They have one less win than second-place Kentucky at the moment. With this loss, the unranked Ole Miss Rebels are 13-15. They are now 4-11 in the SEC. They are tied with Missouri for the second-worst record in the conference at the moment. Looking at the sixth-ranked team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats hosted the unranked LSU Tigers. Kentucky would end up beating LSU 71-66. They won this matchup by 5 after outscoring the Tigers by 13 in the second half in order to win this game by 5. On the winning end of this matchup, the sixth-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Oscar Tshiebwe. He finished with 17 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 blocks. He shot 5 for 7 from the field on the day. With this win, the sixth-ranked Kentucky Wildcats are 23-5. They are 12-3 in the SEC. That is the second-best record in the conference. The only team that has a better record than them in the conference right now is Auburn. With this loss, the unranked LSU Tigers are 19-9. They are 7-8 in the SEC for the time being. Looking at the seventh-ranked team in the nation, my alma mater, the Duke Blue Devils, would go to Virginia to face off against the unranked Virginia Cavaliers. Duke beat Virginia 65-61 in Coach K's last matchup against Tony Bennett. Duke won this matchup by 4 after outscoring Virginia by 5 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the seventh-ranked Duke Blue Devils were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Jeremy Roach. He finished with 15 points in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 7 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the three-point line. With this win, the seventh-ranked Duke Blue Devils are now 24-4. They are now 14-3 in the ACC. They have the best record in the conference. They are the only team that's ranked so far, as they are the only team with less than 4 losses in the conference. They have one less loss than Notre Dame at the moment. With this loss, the unranked Virginia Cavaliers are 17-11. They are 11-7 in the ACC for right now. Looking at the 11th ranked team in the nation, the Providence Friars hosted the unranked Xavier Musketeers, and in a matchup that went to 3 overtimes, Providence beat Xavier 99-92 to avoid the upset. They outscored Xavier 29-22 in the combined overtime periods after they tied Xavier in the first and second halves. On the winning end of this matchup, the 11th ranked Providence Friars were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Jared Bynum. He finished with 27 points and 6 rebounds in 43 minutes. He shot 10 for 21 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 11th ranked Providence Friars are 23-3. They're now 13-2 in the Big East. That is the best record in the conference. And with this loss, the unranked Xavier Musketeers are 17-10. They are now 7-9 in the Big East for right now. Looking at the 13th ranked team in the nation, the Wisconsin Badgers would face off against the unranked Minnesota Golden Gophers in Minneapolis. Wisconsin beat Minnesota 68-67. They won this game by 1 after outscoring Minnesota by 2 in the first half. The 13th ranked Badgers were led in scoring by their starting forward, Steven Crowell. He finished with 20 points and 7 rebounds as he shot 7 for 9 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 13th ranked Wisconsin Badgers are now 22-5. They are now 13-4 in the Big Ten. They are now tied with Purdue for the best record in the conference. And with this loss, Minnesota is now 13-13. They are now 4-13 in the Big Ten. All 13 of their losses have come in the conference. They are currently holding the second worst record in the Big Ten. The only team with the worst record than them in the Big Ten is Nebraska for right now. And then looking at the 14th ranked team in the nation, the Houston Cougars will go to New Orleans to face off against the unranked Tulane Green Wave. Houston beat Tulane 81-67. They won this matchup by 14 after outscoring Tulane by 9 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 14th ranked Houston Cougars were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kyler Edwards. He finished with 21 points in 38 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and he shot 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 14th ranked Houston Cougars are 23-4. They are now 12-2 in the American Conference. That is the best record right now. They're the only team with less than 3 losses in conference play at the moment. With this loss, unranked Tulane is 12-12. They are 9-6 in the conference for the time being. Looking at the lowest ranked team that played yesterday, the 20th ranked Texas Longhorns hosted the unranked TCU Horned Frogs. Texas beat TCU 75-66. They won by 9 after outscoring the Horned Frogs by 14 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 20th ranked Longhorns were led in scoring by their starting guard, Andrew Jones. He finished with 21 points in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 20th ranked Texas Longhorns are now 20-8. They are now 9-6 in the Big 12. That is the 4th best record in the conference. And with this loss, the unranked TCU Horned Frogs are 17-9. They are now 6-8 in the Big 12. That is what college basketball is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Looking at what's going on today with the ranked opponents, a good amount of the games are starting at 9 at ESPN2. The top-ranked team in the nation, Gonzaga, will go to San Francisco to face off against the unranked Dons. Gonzaga enters this matchup with a 12-0 record in the West Coast Conference. Then San Francisco may be the team that gives them their first loss in the conference right now. At the same time, at 9 o'clock, the 15th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini are going to host the 22nd ranked Ohio State Buckeyes on FS1. Illinois enters this matchup with a 12-4 Big 12 or Big 10 record, and Ohio State enters this matchup with a 10-5 Big 10 record. At 9 o'clock at the same time, 19th ranked Murray State is going to host unranked Belmont on ESPNU in Murray, Kentucky. Murray enters this matchup with a 16-0 record in the Ohio Valley Conference. At 9:30, 12th ranked UCLA is going to go to Eugene to face off against the unranked Oregon Ducks on ESPN. UCLA enters this matchup with a 12-4 record in the Pac-12. At 10 o'clock, 23rd ranked St. Mary's is going to go to San Diego to face off against the unranked Toreros in Jenny Craig Pavilion. St. Mary's enters this matchup with a 10-3 record in the West Coast Conference. At 11 o'clock, the second-ranked team in the nation, the Arizona Wildcats, are going to go to Salt Lake City to face off against the unranked Utes on FS1. Arizona enters this matchup with a 14-1 record in the Pac-12. And last but not least, at the same time, at 11 o'clock, the 16th-ranked USC Trojans are going to go to Corvallis, Oregon, face off against the unranked Oregon State Beavers on ESPN2. USC enters this matchup with a 12-4 record in the Pac-12. Taking a look at what's going on with basketball at the professional level, there hasn't been basketball since Sunday because that was the All-Star break. The NBA is getting right back to its regularly scheduled program today. At 7:30 on TNT, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Boston Celtics. The Brooklyn Nets enter this matchup with the 8th best record in the East, as now Ben Simmons is nearing his return. He's not going to return immediately, as the Nets have lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 7 games behind the first place Miami Heat. They sit 2 games behind the 7-seed Toronto Raptors out east. And the Boston Celtics enter this matchup with the 6th seed out east. They have won 9 of their last 10 games, and they've lost their last game. They won the previous 9 before that. They sit 4.5 games behind the Heat and the Bulls leading out east. They are currently sitting 2 games behind the 5th seed defending champs Milwaukee Bucks within the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Looking at the other primetime game at 10 o'clock tonight, the Portland Trailblazers, who are holding on to the 10th best record in the West, are going to host the Golden State Warriors, who have the 2nd best record in the entire NBA. The Trailblazers enter this matchup. They sit 2.5 games behind the 9 seed LA Lakers, as they are just holding on to that 10 seed, that play-in spot. The Warriors are currently sitting 6.5 games behind the 1st seed Phoenix Suns, just to get a sense of how far behind they sit, even though they do have the 2nd best record in the entire NBA. They can't get cocky. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on prime time, at 7 o'clock, the Detroit Pistons are going to host the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Little Caesars Arena. The Chicago Bulls, who hold the best record in the East, tied with the Heat, are going to host the Atlanta Hawks in the United Center. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to host the Memphis Grizzlies, as a win here would secure a winning record for the Memphis Grizzlies this year. At 8 o'clock, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to host the Phoenix Suns, who hold the best record in the NBA right now and are holding on to a 7-game winning streak, the longest active winning streak in the NBA. They look to extend that. And then at 10 o'clock, the Sacramento Kings are going to host the Denver Nuggets in the Golden One Center in Sacramento. Taking a look at what's going on in soccer, looking at the final first leg matchups of the 2021-2022 Champions League season. Looking at the final matchups that of course were going into their first legs. Starting off in Spain, Atletico Madrid would face off against Manchester United. Atletico Madrid, of course, entered this matchup as the reigning Spanish champs. They hosted this matchup after finishing second in Group B to Liverpool. Manchester United entered this matchup after they finished at the very top of Group F in the same group as Villarreal, the reigning Europa League champs. And in this first leg matchup, Atletico Madrid would end up drawing with Manchester United in Madrid. The very first goal of this matchup would be scored by their young Portuguese forward, João Felix. Manchester United's lone goal of the game would be scored in the 80th minute from Anthony Elanga. The second leg of this matchup will be played in Manchester because Manchester was actually able to win their table. The second leg of this matchup will be on March 15th, which of course will be the same day as the second leg of this other matchup. The other matchup took place over the Spanish-Portuguese border as Benfica took on Ajax Amsterdam. Benfica entered this matchup was one of the top teams in Portugal as they took on the reigning Dutch champs Ajax of Amsterdam. The very first goal of this game would be scored by Dusan Tadic of Ajax Amsterdam. And then after Sebastian Haller scored an own goal to even the game up at 1, Sebastian Haller would actually score a goal to help Ajax Amsterdam in the 29th minute. He has 11 goals in 7 matches. He's the only player that has scored in every single match in Champions League so far. He was tied with Ronaldo, but Cristiano Ronaldo did not score today, or he did not score yesterday. But Sebastian Haller has been able to keep the streak alive. And then Benfica would even the game up in the 92nd minute from a goal from Roman Yaremchuk. So with this goal, going into the second leg of this matchup in Amsterdam, the aggregate will be tied up at 2, and then of course, however this second matchup ends up will be how these teams will, of course, transition into the next round. Looking at the other matches that took place, they took place in the English Premier League. Looking first at the second-ranked team in the league, Liverpool would host Leeds United. Liverpool would beat Leeds United 6-0. Their first goal would be a penalty kick from their elite Egyptian forward Mo Salah. Their second goal came from Joel Matip. Their third goal came from a penalty kick from their elite forward Mo Salah to put them up 3-0. And then they would get 3 goals in the second half, 2 of them from their elite Senegalese forward Sadio Mane, and they would get a goal. Their 6th goal will come from their elite Dutch defender Virgil van Dijk. With this win, Liverpool is now currently sitting second place in the Premier League, 3 points behind Manchester City, as they were sitting a little bit further behind earlier, but now it's actually a very close race. Looking at the other Premier League team that faced off yesterday, Tottenham Hotspur will go to Burnley, and then Burnley ended up beating Tottenham 1-0. Lone goal of this game was scored in the 71st minute by Ben Mee. With this win, Burnley is sitting 18th in the Premier League at the moment, as they are currently sitting 2 points behind 17th place Newcastle, as Burnley is still in danger of being relegated. With this loss, Tottenham is now sitting 8th in the Premier League, as they sit 1 point behind 7th place Wolves, and they sit 3 points behind 6th place Arsenal, as Tottenham has now played one more full game than Arsenal, as they actually blew their chance to move to within position with Arsenal at the moment. But that is currently what the Premier League is looking like. And taking a look at what is going on tomorrow, starting with the Premier League, Arsenal is going to host Wolverhampton. Arsenal holds the 6th best record in the Premier League, and Wolverhampton is holding the 7th. So this is actually not... This is a slightly underrated Premier League matchup, as Arsenal sits 2 points ahead of Wolves, and they are sitting even with West Ham. A win here could temporarily jump them into 5th place in the Premier League for the time being. And then looking at the games that are going to be taking place for Europa League is going to be the second leg of the playoff round, as the teams that finish second in their group are going to face off against the teams that finish third in Champions League. Notable matchups happening at 12:45 are including Dynamo Zagreb and Sevilla, Lazio and Porto, Olympiacos and Atalanta, Real Sociedad and RB Leipzig. The later games are going to be Braga and Sheriff Tiraspol. Napoli is going to face off against Barcelona. Rangers is going to face off against Borussia Dortmund, and Real Betis is going to face off against Zenit St. Petersburg. And, of course, as we navigate through those tournaments, I'm going to go into details with those as well. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 18 minutes of this piece. I do hope all is well. I apologize for all the names that I butchered. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. And like I said, I just want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Friday, February 25th. And until then, I want to thank everyone again. I hope all is well. Thanks for listening to my piece, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.